Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. A game that, when first announced back in 2020, had a lot of excitement around it, especially since it was centered around more DC characters, going to be continuation of the Arkhamverse, especially for those of us Batman fans that absolutely loved Arkham Asylum, City, and Arkham Knight. But a funny thing happened over the past year. A lot of us stopped really giving a crap about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Where did it all go wrong? Well, I can only go by my own opinion from my observations as to the point where I went from being interested in the game to on the fence about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League to now not really giving a shit. Originally slated to come out in 2022, the game was delayed to 2023 and then delayed again. Fast forwarding to present day, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is supposed to come out February 2nd, 2024. And a lot of people really don't give a shit about this game. Look at the like to dislike ratio my friend Red sent me via screenshot at the recording of this video. Not a good sign for Warner Brothers or Rocksteady. And no, I'm not showing video or screenshots from anything related to the videos, including the latest one for Suicide Squad, because I don't want another fraudulent copyright claim or copyright strike from Warner Brothers. In other words, fuck you, Warner Brothers. All of it harkens back to earlier in the year following controversy in regards to this game being always online. Even if you were playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League solo, there was still a requirement for you to play online, even if you have shoddy internet or in some cases no internet at all. 8 months ago, I did a video in regards to the showcase for Suicide Squad, which I felt to be very underwhelming at the time. There's also some leaked information that I covered regarding microtransactions, a store, battle pass, multiple currencies. Myself and many others reported this, but WB struck several channels, including my own, abusing my right to cover controversy as well as a clear violation of fair use. But I guess terms of service and rules don't seem to apply to a multi-billion-dollar corporation trying to cover up the fact that their big AAA game is going to be live service. They're more open about it now than they were 8 months ago because a lot of their games coming out are going to allegedly be live service games. A few days ago, Shinobi 602 put out this post. Warner Brothers will focus on more live service games going forward. Quote unquote, our focus is on transforming our biggest franchises from largely console and PC based with 3-4 year release schedules to include more always on gameplay through live services, multi-platform, free to play quote unquote extensions with the goal to have more money, more players spending more time on more platforms. Ultimately, WB wants to drive more money into their pockets, engagement and monetization for them of longer cycles at higher levels. WB is currently under scale and sees significant opportunity to milk their community and fans for every last nickel and dime that they get. Typical CEO of these multi-billion-dollar corporations when it comes to their earnings call. That's pretty much the direction WB is planning for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and future games coming down their pipeline. Another reason why I don't give a shit about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is because, yes, I am a big Batman fan. I've loved the franchise ever since I was a kid. My grandma had me watch some of the older 1960s Batmans, and I grew up loving Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman throughout several TV shows and movie films and video games. Batman, the animated series. He played older Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond, the Justice League shows, as well as other DC animated films like Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. He also voiced the Dark Knight in the Batman Arkhamverse trilogy, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and The Dark Knight. Also made by Rocksteady. Sadly, Kevin Conroy passed away from intestinal cancer just over a year ago, November 10th, 2022, at the age of 66. While millions of DC and Batman fans mourn the passing of Kevin Conroy, it didn't take WB that long to capitalize off Kevin Conroy at the 2022 Game Awards show. They spoiled Kevin Conroy's final performance as Batman in Suicide Squad: The Justice League. In my opinion, this was not done to pay final respect to the late great Kevin Conroy. This was done for one reason only: to promote Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League at the Game Awards. Which leads to another reason why I don't really give a shit about Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, because they keep spoiling stuff from the game and the story. Just like with Kevin Conroy's upcoming final performance as Batman, what did they just do? They spoiled more of the story, at least the early parts of the story, in this 20-minute Suicide Squad Insider 1 story and gameplay video. Rocksteady and Warner Brothers really can't help themselves and are very desperate to try to coax people into buying this game. From what I've seen so far, this story does not interest me at all. Less and less with the more that is revealed. From 2022 to the gameplay showcase over 8-9 months ago to most recently this insider video. The big problem I have, I guess, is believability within the DC universe that the Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn, Killer Shark, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang has any chance at all against members of the Justice League, Batman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Superman, even if they weren't brainwashed and under complete control by Brainiac. Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang will be no match to the members of the Justice League. I even joked about this back in my underwhelming video. If it was these four clowns versus one of these members of the Justice League unbrainwashed, guess what happens? Green Lantern wins. The Flash wins. Batman wins. And yes, the Man of Steel himself, Superman, easily wins against these four fools. And by the way, the Justice League is holding back because they don't want to kill anybody, even their enemies, villains, antagonists, anti-heroes that always go up against them. So imagine, if you will, how much more difficult and impossible it would be for Harley Quinn, Killer Shark, Deadshot, along with Captain Boomerang to take on Batman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Superman, fully brainwashed and programmed to kill. Which we've seen happen in the trailers quite a few times now. They're not resisting. They're not fighting back. Superman is blowing up helicopters. Green Lantern is capturing innocent civilians in Metropolis to be converted into minions for Brainiac. In other words, the Suicide Squad would have no chance at all against Brainiac or a Brainiac-controlled Justice League. Wonder Woman's also there, but the parts we see in the cutscenes, she's not under the control of Brainiac. Maybe later on in the game, she does end up getting captured by Brainiac and brainwashed. But for 3 years now, I have not been able to buy Suicide Squad being able to take on and kill, let alone defeat, any member of the Justice League or Brainiac, which is one of the most dangerous villains in the DC universe, up there with Darkseid and Lex Luthor and the Joker and a few others as well. Brainiac has conquered planets and galaxies. What chance in hell do these four morons have against somebody like Brainiac? None. And here's another reason why I don't give a shit about Kill the Justice League, because a lot of us were under the impression that the next franchise Rocksteady was going to work on was possibly a Superman game. There were teases to that throughout Arkham Knight. However, Rocksteady claims they were never working on a Superman game. Speaking of Metropolis, which is apparently going to be twice the size of Gotham from Arkham Knight, as the characters in the latest 20-minute video were traversing around the city, I started to get the feeling in the back of my head that this map might have been originally made for the Man of Steel to fly around with to begin with, and maybe early on in development of the city of Metropolis, the WB stepped in and said, no, we don't want a Superman game, we want a Suicide Squad game, and we want it to be live service and microtransaction to hell. Now that's just speculation on my part without any proof, but go watch the video, look at Metropolis. It feels like a city Superman would be quite comfortable flying around doing missions in, as opposed to the Suicide Squad. In other words, I feel like we were denied a decent Rocksteady Superman game. Thanks, WB. I hate it. So to review, I don't give a shit for the story, the characters, or the underwhelming gameplay of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And I'm going to take it a step further. I no longer give a shit for Warner Brothers copy striking my Suicide Squad video simply by reporting the fact that there was going to be microtransactions, battle pass, item shop, multiple currencies, violating terms of service, and my right to fair use. It's not the first time they did it, by the way. Years ago, I was going to do a Batman Arkham Asylum playthrough, and in my first live stream, I was copyright claimed by Warner Brothers, despite the fact that the video game scores are protected by fair use. I'm not talking about music of bands, musicians. I'm talking about the game score, which is part of the game. That is protected by fair use. But that didn't stop Warner Brothers from copyrighting me and many others. All you have to do is go back and look at my Arkham Asylum WMG copyright claim rant video from 2 years ago, and you will see comments from other creators and streamers who had the same thing happen to them. So why else don't I give a shit about WB? Well, what we just talked about a moment ago, the live service push for all their games coming up in the future, where they're going to try and milk their players out of every dollar, pound, euro, nickel, dime, and penny that they got. And don't get me started on the live action disaster films, Batman v Superman, Justice League, both versions, The Flash, Wonder Woman 1984, Dark Adam. Then they went and vaulted Batgirl, and Critical Drinker did a really good video a few days ago going over the information that he has discovered about how, for the most part, it was actually a decent film that needed a little bit of retweaking in the script and some reshoots, but it was vaulted by Warner Brothers despite decent test scores from the audience. And recently, they did the same thing with another movie, Wile E. Coyote versus Acme. Why did they choose to shelve both these movies? Tax write-off purposes. In my opinion, I don't think that studios should have the ability to vault movies or TV shows for tax write-off purposes. You put out the money, you put people to work, you spend the money by investors in order to make Batgirl, Wile E. Coyote versus Acme. I think that whether it turns out to be great or terrible or somewhere in the middle, it's a box office smash or a bomb, it should be put out there. And recently, James Gunn, who's best known for the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, took over DC live action. He clearly doesn't get Superman, especially if he's quote-unquote too dark for one of the actors that allegedly turned down the role. And despite the fact I do like the old school Harley Quinn look, I also don't give a shit for the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League classic outfits. They're not enough to calm me into pre-ordering or bother playing this WB live action version of the Avengers. And with any luck, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will face the same exact fate. And that's why I don't give a shit for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, as well as Warner Brothers.